listening to The Review on the OSG Sports Podcasting Network.
Hello, everybody, and welcome back to another episode of The Review. It's the Online Sports Guys College Football Podcast, where we talk about things that happened over the previous week and things that are going to happen in the coming week in the world of college football. And guys, we might as well just jump right in here. I got to call this week the almost but not quite week, because there were a lot of games that were really close, but at the end of the day, the upsets just did not happen.
Farts.
And I'm going to start off with the game that I kind of got to catch a little bit of the end of. Texas and Vanderbilt. Once again, the Fighting Diego Pavias put on a hell of a fight.
Damn right they did.
Against the sort of mighty Texas Longhorns. Texas got the win 27-24 at Memorial Stadium, but it was not easy. Vanderbilt keeps being that
pain in the ass. Go ahead and say
pesky little fly that just will not go away.
And I love every minute of it. Marty, that 17.5 to me was an easy cover coming off the Georgia game.
Yeah, if I were a betting man, I would have jumped on that one.
Yeah.
But I'm not, so I've got all my money.
Exactly. No, I mean, it was you worried about the early turnovers in Nashville, and you thought it might be a blowout, but then let's just say there was a generous gift spot touchdown where Diego Pavia stepped out at the 4 and jumped into the end, 4-ish, and jumped into the end zone, gave it a touchdown, and then second half, Vanderbilt's not going away. And they end up coming back, and it ends up, being a 3-point game by the time that we're done. But I think the larger point here is what happens. It's like, in this short-term universe that we live in, what's Clark Lee going to do for an encore? After this season, Diego Pavia graduates. Then, obviously, do you trust the portal now for incoming quarterbacks and just kind of do one-and-dones and treat it like, Calipari does in basketball and all of that? What does Vanderbilt do? Because Vanderbilt is, they're close to being bowl eligible. They need to.
It's not if, it's just when.
So you're trying to figure out the future of Vanderbilt here after Diego Pavia. They're a pain in the ass now. How do you continue being a pain in the ass, Marty? That's the biggest question.
I would love to see them as the 12th team in the playoff, just because they're the embodiment of just puncher's chance of beating anybody, because they've been hanging when they lose.
Yes.
Yeah, I'd be checking to see if Diego's got a brother somewhere.
Mm-hmm. Go, Diego, go. And bring folks with you.
Well, I mean, I'll put the question to both of you. Is this something that gets recruits' attention, the fact that Vanderbilt's become a little bit more competitive than they've been in the past, and say, hey, maybe I can come here and make a difference?
I might not be able to start at Bama, but if I can go there and play out, people are going to look at me. Dude, I'll tell you right now, as a Cleveland Browns fan, I would take that kid over a lot of people above him just because he's a good story and he's not somebody you'd be ashamed to have running your offense, because he's a good dude and he always puts it all out on the field. What more could you want?
I mean, I'll say this right now. I think that if Diego Pavia goes to Canada, he has a 15-year career. He absolutely would have a 15-year career in that league. So, I mean, it's I want Vanderbilt to continue to succeed, because I think it's good for college football. I think that, here in the 21st century, we're seeing how programs can adjust. And you had this harmonic convergence of everything. New Mexico State go from Las Cruces to Nashville with Jerry Kill, the offensive coordinator. Hey, we need a quarterback. Let's call Diego. And then Diego comes over. And you have what you have this season in Vanderbilt. And I think it's great for college football, one, because who thought that the biggest badass in college football would be coming from New Mexico State University to go play in the SEC?
Vanderbilt.
Yeah, at Vanderbilt. Yeah, so you have these kinds of things that are happening. I'm enjoying this for what it does to college football, because it's somebody new, somebody coming up and taking, a couple of big swings. And now what do you do? What are these next stages here? That's what I'm intrigued now with what's going on in Nashville.
You almost
Yeah.
need a whole new scouting department just for getting those diamonds in. You need a diamond in the rough department, looking for people just to throw, hey, we got about 10 more left, or hey, preferred walk on. Preferred walk on with this pizzeria is going to give you 5 grand.
Hey, I
This
mean,
apartment complex is going to give you a free room.
That's a good way to put it. Um, Another nail biter game, one that was a lot closer than I would have expected it to be, and that's
SMU and Duke.
we're getting there, John.
Ah,
That made the
Um,
missus happy.
Ohio State gets the win over Nebraska, and
oh,
that's
here we go.
Nebraska team at that, 21-17.
I'm just going to sit here and listen.
Oh goodness! Now feel free to join in. I feel bad for Zen Mahowski. He's been there 4 years, and he finally got his chance to start, and you could tell he was a little puckered. He was struggling mightily against, and they're just regular ends. There's nobody special on that Nebraska D, but Nebraska definitely came out with a different look than it did last week.
Yes. And
Ohio State's defense did actually change things up. Ryan Day spent the last 2 weeks because of the bye week. Now, for those who don't follow Ohio State, there's a there's a rumored disconnect between Larry Johnson, given his age, and the offensive defensive coordinator. If you used to watch Oklahoma State, they used to run some crazy stuff. They have a position called the jack. Nobody at Ohio State knows what the jack position because Larry
they don't
Johnson
know
let
Jack
him
is what
run
you're
it.
saying.
Yeah, I was thinking that they don't know Jack, do they?
They don't know the jack because we've got a couple guys that are prototype like that. Like we have backup linebackers that can blitz, and that's all they can do because they still haven't really got the linebacker part of it. And they would deploy it as sometimes they would stand up, sometimes they'd be on the right, sometimes they'd be on the left, sometimes they'd stand up in the middle, sometimes their hands on the ground, and it would create a little bit of confusion, which is what they need. And they just haven't done it. This week, first first defensive play, they're running a twist, something they haven't done in a year or two. So they're actually, their defense was stepping up, and on offense, they were just getting tons of pressure from the left side, and that poor kid ends up getting hurt in the fourth quarter. So they don't know what they're going to do on their O line, which is, as an Ohio State fan, that makes me scared shitless going into next week with Penn State, who
Well,
also underperformed this week.
yeah. I mean, 31 carries, 64 net yards rushing on the day for Ohio State going up against Nebraska. And Dylan Raiola.
Nebraska team coming off a 56-7 loss to Indiana.
Yeah. So I think in a situation like this, it's like you find a team's supposed strength and you force them. It's the old coaching cliche, force them to play left-handed. And so you try to take one element away. And in this case, Nebraska wanted to take Quinshon Judkins in the running game away from Ohio State and then force them to try and pass their way through 60 minutes of football. And so, we saw this a couple of different occasions on Saturday where, all right, I'm going to force you to do that and see how you respond. And so this was I think a good test for Ohio State to know how to fight left-handed, or in my case, how to fight right-handed. And I think that this will serve them well later on if they learn from what happened in this one, where someone's trying to take an aspect of your game away from you offensively. How do you adjust mid-game? And so this one, I think, was a good learning experience for Ohio State.
Yeah, they're going to the toughest part of their schedule with games against Penn State, and one that you would never think of, but you should probably be thinking of now, and that's a game against Indiana.
Yeah, they've been a hell of a story in the Big Ten.
Go Signetti. Go Signetti. Love it.
Another nail biter game. Duke nearly gets the upset with SMU coming into
Wallace Wade
Stadium, but alas, their last hope, a game-winning field goal attempt, gets blocked at the buzzer. SMU holds on 28-27.
Okay. Full disclosure.
This is the highest they ranked since giving away cars, right?
I think so.
You're allowed to give away cars now, though.
Yes, true. You can do the quiet part out loud. I'm going to scroll down and look at the number of fumbles
But
in this game. SMU had six fumbles. Six. Like one more than five. So, like, there's five for those watching the video version. One more than five is six. They had six fumbles. They lost.
But one less than 7.
Correct. Yes. And so 6 is the number.
Half of 12.
Yes. 6 is the number. 7 is too much. 5 is not the number unless you're going to 6. 6 fumbles, lost half of them. The record for a team in the modern era of football who has fumbled 6 times in a game is something like 1 in 138. That was before last night. So if you fumble 6 times in a game, you are going to lose 138 or whatever the number is. It's like some ungodly 100-plus number. 138 out of 139 times, the team that fumbled 6 times lost. That did not happen last night.
In other words,
they got that going for him.
Yeah, you're almost as likely to win the Mega Millions.
Yeah, don't remind me of that.
Yeah, that's part of my retirement dreams.
Correct. Absolutely true. But no, this is SMU now 7-1. Duke with the loss, they're at 6-2 in the All Coast Conference. And I mean, obviously both of these teams are going to bowl games, but this is one of those wins that we talk about, wins that you can learn from. This is a win I think that SMU can learn from. You make all of these mistakes down the line, you recover half of them, at least in the fumbling portion of the program. And you come out the other side, you come out with a blocked field goal, you come out with a win on the road, and I can't believe that I'm saying this, a tough environment like Duke. Thank you, Mike Elko, to start things up that way.
Loud like a basketball game.
Yeah, so it's literally this is I think the week of the close call and the week of the lesson, the proposed lesson, and do you learn from the lesson that happened to you in these games and these close calls? SMU, do you learn from the lessons that you had at Wallace Wade? You got the win. What are you going to do about it? Just saying.
The answer to that is still to be determined.
Correct.
Moving on, we'll go through the top teams in college football. The Oregon Ducks ranked number 1 going into this week. They host Illinois and take care of business easily, 38-9, in a game that really wasn't that close.
No.
It was fun to see their backups in the second half.
Penn State, who Marty briefly mentioned earlier, they play Wisconsin in Madison, take care of business, even with Pribula. Bo Pribula. Sorry, I can't pronounce
Parabolic?
that.
Yes, exactly.
Parabola?
Yes.
Parabola?
Oh, Parabola, your quarterback. We heard everything.
They take care of business 28-13, setting up the game against Ohio State. Miami remains undefeated. They still have not played a ranked team. They take care of John's Florida State Seminoles 36-14.
That would be a team that ranks.
Yes, it would. Absolutely true. And by the way, it would have been 36-7 had it not been for sad touchdown with under a minute and a half to go. I'm still waiting for word out of the capital of the state of Florida about anything and a resolution to the current coaching situation. For me to have to reference Daryl Mudra twice in a season involving Florida State athletics, it's rare that, when you mention Daryl Mudra and Florida State University, that's a chapter that you don't want to go. And this is your Google search for today, kids. Mudra, M-U-D-R-A. Daryl Mudra, 2 R's, 2 L's, M-U-D-R-A. Daryl Mudra coached Florida State University the 2 years before Bobby Bowden showed up. Won 4 games in 2 years and is widely regarded as one of the worst head coaches in Florida State University history because of that 2-year run that mercifully led to Bobby Bowden, and we know the rest of the story. Thank you, Paul Harvey. But for me to have to mention Daryl Mudra consistently during a season of the review shows you where things are right now with Florida State University. Buyout? Who knows? It's supposed to be like $6 million. Is it that difficult to try and figure something out? Where you go from 13-1 to currently 1-7, and you're going to max out at 3-9 because of the games that are left on your schedule. There's a North Carolina in there. You've got a homecoming game. You've got Florida coming up. and yeah, I did mention them by name instead of the University of South Georgia Gainesville campus, you will go from 13-1 to maxing out at 3-9. There is something inherently wrong going on in Tallahassee, and to be embarrassed, and you knew that Miami was going to run up the score, and they did. They had the opportunity to do it. It was a slow start for them. They got the win. Florida State's 1-7, and this house has a pox on it.
Yep. Cam Ward, no touchdown passes thrown, but one touchdown pass caught.
Who could have been the quarterback at Auburn, but Gus Malzahn was like, "Nah, I'm good. I got Peyton Thorne." Seriously, Cam Ward wanted to go to Auburn.
And perhaps one of the more surprising games of the week, Texas A&M didn't just beat; they pounded LSU 38-23. A&M goes to 7-1, and they are in the lead in the SEC right now.
Did not have that as a part of the card, but Mike Elko having the post-game quote of the week. Ha, 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 calling out his predecessor. Who those of us who have alums in Tallahassee know all about him. He was not sly in his allusions to people who come in and BS, politicians that come in and stand on the sidelines. It was not a thinly veiled poke at his predecessor at all, nor should it have been. And it wasn't. It was great. Well done, Mike Elko. Huzzahs to you.
Moving on down the list, BYU remains undefeated. They go to 8-0 with a 37-24 win over UCF.
Did you see that fake?
No, I did not. What did I miss?
So the holder, they go for the line up for a field goal.
Legs fake field goal?
Through the legs. Sweet.
I haven't actually seen the video yet.
Wow.
So that ball was basically snapped twice.
Wow.
That was amazing. I've got to. That's one of the plays of the year because that was just beautiful. Nobody saw that coming.
Okay, so fake field goal as kicker gets first down? Yes. Okay, so here we go. I'm watching it for the first time, and I'm turning down the volume just so I can sit here and watch it. And
but do we have to wait for you to go through the commercial?
No, go for it.
Yay.
Yay, because I want to move on to the Notre Dame Navy game, which was a little bit of a disappointment for Navy. Notre Dame beats them 51-14 in another game that really wasn't that close.
No.
Fortunately, knocked Navy from the ranks of the undefeated.
Well, I mean, you have 2 early turnovers, and you can't do that when.
Yeah, you remember your soliloquy about 6 turnovers?
Yes.
Navy had 6 turnovers.
Yeah, well, and when Navy traditionally is in an offensive game plan where you trade possessions and scores, you can't if you try to match 7s with 3s, first off, that's not going to be an even score. And then you can't come up with empty possessions if you're a service academy going up against competition like Notre Dame, and you had 2 turnovers early, and then that was pretty much it.
Let's move on down here to a game featuring Ole Miss and Oklahoma, and I got to ask the question: is Brett Venables in a seat that's almost as hot as Mike Norvell now? Ole Miss takes down Oklahoma 26-14, moving the Sooners to 4-4 on the season, 1-4 in the SEC, their SEC debut, and
they're only half bad.
Terrible.
Yeah, they've not been good.
They're currently below Vandy, right, in the SEC.
Oh, yeah. It's not even close.
Oh boy.
You think they're having buyer's remorse on that move?
I'm thinking Mr. Venables' seat might be, if not chili pepper, maybe approaching scorpion pepper.
Almost like musical chairs, and someone's about to yank the one he's currently sitting on.
I've never had scorpion pepper wings, but let's see, Oklahoma 3, 6, 9, 12, 13th out of the SEC 16. And 1-4 in conference, and in the 5 conference games, they have scored the sum total of 68 points. So 5 into 68 is not quite 14, 13.6.
That ain't gonna cut it, gentlemen.
No, that is not. Oh. No. And they've lost 3 in a row, which tells you about their non-conference schedule. And it's not good. And so I'm wondering if where this season ends, if a 6-6 Oklahoma team goes to a pre New Year's bowl, what that conversation is going to be like in Norman in the offseason.
Say hi to the Pop Tarts mascot for me.
Oh. So
Or maybe I'll see him here in DFW at the
well,
Armed Services or the First Responders Bowl.
could you?
Yeah,
I could see something in the Dallas area, no question, or in the
Yeah,
Texas.
you got to buy out that coach, so then you go to the cheap trip down the road.
Yeah, you go to the Texas Bowl in San Antonio, maybe, and
Like UNT will do every year.
yes, that's true. But the thing is, if Oklahoma goes to the Pop Tart Bowl, then you run the risk of having a collision between the Sooner Schooner and a toaster.
Ooh, and that
ooh,
that vehicle is prone to mistakes as we've seen in the last few years.
Yes,
yeah. They're not the sturdiest vehicle you'll ever see.
my, my,
Everybody in the club getting tipsy.
yes, thank
That
you.
would take That also would take some of the fun out of the Pop Tarts Bowl. Moving on down, I want to mention this game only because I just saw the record for UConn, and it surprises me. But Jim Moore Jr. doing an interesting job at UConn. They beat Rice 17-10 to move 5-3 on the season.
They're,
Ooh,
they're hiding. I mean,
he's on the verge of bowl eligibility.
he's 5-3 right now with that win. And they're just kind of like I said, he's a lurker right now because they don't have a home and they're trying to find a home.
Dun,
And
dun, dun, dun,
yeah, literally. I mean,
dun, 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 dun.
the only thing missing in Yukon is a husky wearing a shark outfit for Halloween coming up. I mean,
Yeah, but look at if you want to look at their November schedule, they host Georgia State, they go to UAB, they go to Syracuse, and they go to UMass. They
seven.
could actually end up with 9 wins.
Yeah, Syracuse is looking pretty vulnerable right now.
So I could see 7, if not 8. I think the Georgia State one could go either way. But I mean, UConn right now, easily you're looking at 7 wins because UMass is at 2-6, and they're having issues, and they're also trying to find a home. So I could see once again a bowl eligible UConn probably doing something pinstripe-ish and doing something regional. And like I said, Jim Mora just kind of lurks in the shadows right now, and he's kind of doing his thing. He's being left alone. You end up being bowl eligible. You end up getting 7 wins, and you get to attract folks to head to your place and get better and better and better and better. And it's a positive cycle for a team that doesn't have a conference right now.
No home.
Oh, for you does not matter.
Speaking of teams getting bowl eligible, Marty's favorite team, the Colorado Buffaloes, are now bowl eligible after they beat Cincinnati 34-23.
Oh,
Coach Prime hasn't, they may not be the best team in college football, but they've improved.
Against Cincinnati.
and
Cincinnati's terrible.
Not great.
now
They're no Florida State.
thank you. Hit that
Ooh,
number. Hit that shot. Um,
below the belt.
well, but Colorado 6-2, Cincinnati's 5-3. You got to take care of business at home. I get it. Travis Hunter, by the way, was on the field for 130 of the 133 total plays for Colorado on Saturday night. That's insane.
And Travis Hunter,
that-
receiver, 9 catches, 153, and a couple of touchdowns.
A couple of PBUs and a couple of tackles, and the only thing missing was him selling Hunt Brothers Pizza in the concourse.
I want to mention one last.
You just caused the NIL deal to happen.
We need to take credit for it, though. They need to swing some of it this way if that does in fact happen.
At least some of the pizza.
There you go.
Yeah, the question there being, what bowl game does Colorado end up in?
Oh goodness. Probably the one in Vegas.
And if it's not a good bowl game, how many of the players show up?
True.
Yeah,
If it's in Vegas, you'll get the self-centered guys going just because it's in Vegas. But if it's not,
Yeah, so that's why I think that you're going to have some you will have some interesting choices made by bowl games this year in trying to attract butts into seats and trying to attract players from not opting out of performing in said bowl games.
And their schedule sets up pretty nicely. They go to Texas Tech in a couple of weeks, and then they host Utah, go to Kansas, and host Oklahoma State to round out the regular season. All four of those games are potentially winnable.
They are, absolutely. I could see two of them right off the top being winnable, but in the Texas Tech game, take the over, obviously. But yeah, you could be 8, you could be as high as 10, and then the hue and cry, I imagine, will continue for Dion to be the new head coach in Tallahassee. I'm not kidding. I'm not kidding, because the better that Colorado does, the better that their record is by the end of the year, you know that there are going to be some high-powered alums and not so high-powered alums and folks that buy season tickets that are going to try and go 1 + 1 = 2. Mike Norvell can go. Then we have an opening. So then what do? We make the phone call to the prodigal son, and so he can come back into his home state and be the head coach at Florida State. So no, I definitely can see 1 + 1 trying to add up to 2 here.
And Colorado's good players will be gone. So,
Yep, including Shedeur.
and they've done no recruiting.
No, it is.
Let me draw this line for you. Could he go to Florida State, or could he end up in the NFL in Dallas?
No.
Well,
I mean, Jerry's dumb, but I don't think he's that dumb.
You think Mike McCarthy's going to hang on to that job?
No,
No.
we're talking 2 separate aisles in the grocery store here.
No, not at all.
No, I think
the Cowboys own a lot of real estate, but I don't think they can cover both those dudes' egos in the same building.
True.
Seriously, like you see all the controversies with players complaining about doing tours. Like I personally, when my sister was here visiting, I took her on a tour, and there's dudes weightlifting, and they're giving a tour, and people are like fishbowl tapping on the glass, looking at them. It's a zoo over there. It would be like nth level zoo. You add Dion to that mix, and not to mention, he doesn't have any coaching acumen. He took 3 good athletes with him to the both colleges he coached at, and that was what they had.
Yeah, in the NFL, you don't have to be a strategic coach. You just have to be able to administer.
Well, but when has Jarrah let any coach administer?
True. That is definitely true. One last shout out before we finish up here on the first block of the review. Huge night for Jarquez Hunter of Auburn. 23 carries, 278 yards, and 2 touchdowns as Auburn beats Kentucky 24-10.
Run the damn ball, Bobo.
Those are video game numbers.
Run the damn ball, Bobo. Gee, it took you how long to get to this point? The boss was screaming at the television every single time that Jarquez Hunter was handed the football, and getting the large gashes of yards that he was. Literally, she was apoplectic.
Well, if you don't have a quarterback, run the ball.
True.
Yeah.
But that's not going to keep the quarterback has to hand the ball off.
Ooh, true.
There is apparently an understanding on campus that Peyton Thorne wants to handle things himself, and that's why you see a lot of the tuck and run instead of turn around and hand the ball off. And so, but no, literally the boss was apoplectic the entire time, and the more yards and the more points that were being scored, she became even more and more apoplectic. Gee, how difficult this was to game plan for someone who said that calling offensive plays for 4 hours was tough. Take snap. Hand the ball to Jarquez Hunter. Offensive line blocks. Go through hole. Get yardage. Score. Win. Real damn rocket science there, Skippy.
Hold on, I'm Googling apoplectic.
Apoplectic. APO.
Wasn't that team that blocked that field goal against Michigan?
Yes, that was the apoplectic. Yes, it was.
Apoplectic state.
Yes, APOPLECTIC. Apoplectic.
Make sure you Google that during the commercial break.
Yes, absolutely.
Speaking of commercial breaks, I believe, guys, it's that time where we hand things off and wrap up the first half of the show. Moving on to the second half, where we will talk about the week that is upcoming, along with everybody's favorite college football segment, College Football on a Budget, where we find out what games you could get into for a discount to broaden your college football horizons. All that and more when we return for the second half of the review. You are listening to The Review on the OSG Sports Podcasting Network.
Please like and subscribe, and watch it more than once.
Go KSU. Over here in the OSG sports side of things, we talk football. FOOTBALL. College football version here with the college football review every single week. But for those of you that like not just football with two O's, but football with a U, FUTBOL, there's the Soccer Down Here Network. I'm John Nelson. I host the morning show on Soccer Down Here along with Jarrett Smith, Nick Alifi, Jason Longshore. And if you're looking for the best information when it comes to the world of soccer, based in the southeastern United States, but we don't leave anything off the table. 9:05 Eastern time until 11 whenever. Sometimes we go for a while. SDH Network morning show, soccer's morning show, Monday through Friday, plus all the live events we do. It is your place and your source for soccer that is based in the Southeast, but covers everything on the world. SoccerDownHere.net, the Soccer Down Here app, available iOS and Android through our friends at Spreaker. That's like speaker with an R in the middle. Spreaker, do a search for OSG Sports. Do a search for Soccer Down Here. All the soccer content all in one place. It is the SDH Network and Soccer Down Here.
Thanks for sticking around, everybody. You have made it to the second half of the show. Guys, we talked in the first half about the week that was, and now we're going to talk about the week that will be week number 10 in college football. It's getting down to the point where we've got games that will decide conferences, games that will decide seasons, and games that will decide playoffs. And we're going to jump right in here with the game.
Coaching futures.
Kicks off at noon on FOX TV. Ohio State travels to Happy Valley, the land without hotels, take on Penn State in a game of what may end up deciding the Big Ten.
I'm deferring.
Marty?
This is going to be all about how they juggle that line. They're down 2 left tackles right now. So are they going to kick Donovan Jackson out to tackle and maybe move Saraville to guard? What are they going to do? How's that going to affect their running game? Because as you saw, this past week, they like to run to the left side, and when your line is experienced some all-state moments of mayhem,
yes,
you need to make some adjustments and stick to it. This game might decide the Big Ten. Also, might decide the offensive line coach's future as well.
You ain't kidding.
It also will decide who plays Indiana for the conference championship.
Don't forget about Oregon.
Oh yeah, those guys.
There's no more divisions inside. It's top 2 teams, and that's it.
Yeah, those guys. And speaking of those guys, they travel to Ann Arbor, Michigan to take on Michigan in a game. I would take Oregon and whatever the spread is.
Oh God, yes.
Yes.
I'm gonna shun Freud and watch the hell out of that game.
Yes.
Hate watching for the fun of it.
Oh, yeah. I'm gonna be sitting there like Kylo Ren, just going.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
Oh, I want to see every trick play in the book come out during that game.
You said trick play,
and I'm not going to sleep until I see more cry.
Here's another interesting game that I would not have thought of being an interesting game early in the season, but it is now. Duke travels down to Hard Rock Stadium to take on Miami, undefeated Miami at that.
I just think that Miami at home on a noon kick at Hard Rock. I've got to go with the University of Coral Gables here. Hot off of that impressive win over Florida State University, where I don't think they broke a sweat. I've got to go with Miami at home here on a noon kick.
It's possible not to sweat in a football game in Florida.
Unless you play Florida State.
Even then.
Nah.
Oh, no.
Even then, you're just sweating on the sidelines.
Yeah, well, yeah, standing around. Yeah, so that might be the only thing. You stand around being inactive, just even more than standing around being active against.
There's
Florida.
A joke about their offense there.
Yes, there is. Absolutely, sir. But I've got to go with UCG in this one. I think it's going to be a long day for Duke.
Another game, because we love talking about the Fighting Diego Pavias. 12:45 kickoff on the SEC network. Vanderbilt travels to Auburn in a game. I kind of think Vanderbilt might be favored in this.
Oh, absolutely. No, the
Yeah.
boss. Look, the boss is already, when she saw this one on the schedule and she saw that Go Diego Go was at Vanderbilt, this is going to be rare air where you could have a quarterback, the baddest man on the quarterbacking planet, defeat Auburn University 2 years in a row wearing two different uniforms. One of those being New Mexico State, the other being Go Diego Go and the Vanderbilt Commodores. The boss is not looking forward to this game. She knows it is going to be like a 60-minute trip to the dentist's office without Novocaine. It is not going to be a fun day. We, the office here, in a collective, last season, as New Mexico State was going to the Plains, we warned everybody that we knew. Be prepared for Diego Pavia. And we were scoffed. We were laughed at. We were ridiculed.
Pshaw, I say pshaw.
There were plenty of pshaws last year when New Mexico State came in for homecoming to take on the Auburn Tigers. And it was an entire 60 minutes of activity where the boss, I deferred because I had no voice. The boss was the one who was gesticulating wildly and talking about Diego Pavia for an entire 60 minutes as New Mexico State was beating Auburn for homecoming. She's anticipating the same thing happening again this upcoming weekend because Vandy is a tough team now with Diego Pavia and New Mexico State East being what it is. She is anticipating another long day and another Auburn loss.
Cue the song History Repeating.
Mm-hmm. Yes, exactly. Long day on the plains, brother.
I thought the song was History Never Repeats.
No, it's just
Now I'm talking about the Bond theme song.
Yes.
But I digest.
Yes, thank you.
Oh, we've got the world's largest cocktail party this weekend, gentlemen, coming up.
Oh boy.
Gob Fla,
At the Gator Bowl.
Georgia, Florida, at Everbank Stadium in Jacksonville.
Hey, finally someone's going to win in Jacksonville.
Yeah.
There it is. Hit it. There's your rib shots of the day. It's gonna be a long day for the University of South Georgia Gainesville campus. I just know it is. And Kirby Smart, he's going to try and find a way to score 11 billion points if he can. So take the over, take the number. It's going to be a large number. It's going to be a long day.
That's basically a recruiting trip for them.
Yes, this is going to be one of those atypical days for Georgia where you look at the line, you look at the total, and I think this one will be one where Kirby cares. Take them both.
An interesting footnote to this game. This will be the last one in Jacksonville for the next couple years as Everbank gets a remodel, and the game will have to find other homes for the next couple of seasons while that happens.
Ooh.
Mm-hmm.
They can go to England like the other team that plays there is going to do.
Yeah.
like the Jaguars.
Yeah. Shad Khan's going to take the game and play it at Craven Cottage. Exactly.
Wickingham.
Game for you, John. Potentially winnable, potentially not winnable. North Carolina at Florida State at Doak Campbell.
Potentially winnable. I don't have my heart set on it. Depends on which North Carolina team shows up. And so we'll see. I mean, literally, this is a case-by-case basis involving Mike Norvell right now. Where is the team at 1-7? Are they interested? Do they give an ish? And how do they respond?
And just for clarity's sake, the lottery is also winnable.
Mm-hmm. Yes.
And
Not probable, but winnable.
One last game featuring teams that are currently ranked. Pitt travels to SMU, takes on SMU at Gerald J. Ford Stadium in beautiful Dallas, Texas. Pitt goes into the game undefeated, SMU with one loss. Is this for the All-Coast Conference supremacy here?
SMU doesn't traditionally pack that stadium, so that's kind of the home. Being at home's not gonna. And I know a few people that work over there, and I borderline like that team, but I'm not sure. Pitt's been rolling.
Yeah, I'm looking at Pitt in that one. I really am. I think the only thing that may slow them down is the road trip in and of itself. But I think I'm leaning Pitt here.
Uh, Dallas is easy to travel to.
Yeah, but I'm going to go with SMU in this game. They've got a little bit tough. They've been a little bit tougher. Yeah, Pittsburgh has won all of their games so far this season, but it's been largely, in the case of this past week, they ended up beating Syracuse mostly because Kyle McCord kept throwing the ball to Pittsburgh defenders.
Hey, touchdown passes are touchdown passes. Those are still completions.
Yes, that is true.
Stop picking on the poor kid.
Doesn't help your QBR, but yes, that is true.
I mean, I feel bad for the kid, but his dad asked for guaranteed starting at Ohio State, and they said, "No, we want you here to compete, but no."
Yeah, yeah, and there's a reason they wouldn't guarantee him that job. One last game, only because I want to mention the fact that we talked earlier about coaching seats that are getting in fuego. And that's the USC Washington game. USC, another team that's struggling, much like Oklahoma, which just happens to be the former home of current USC coach Lincoln Riley. The Trojans 4-4 on the season, 13th in the Big Ten.
It's only half bad.
I mean, when you're 13 out of 10, that's really saying something.
Yeah, it's not easy to do that.
Just ask Florida State, but they're really good at it this year.
And
I got to go with Washington because of the blatantly average USC right now. I mean, this is a short answer because it's a really easy question. I got to go with Washington until further notice.
Yeah, I'm taking Washington as well, but like, will anybody be watching that game? Will anybody be at that game?
the question is, if they continue losing, will Lincoln Riley have a job in December?
Your
Those are
next coach in Florida.
Oh yeah. That's what everybody. Well, everybody's like, Lane Kiffin could be hired back from Ole Miss.
no.
Oh, I know. That was it. It's like message board guy was like, yeah, let's get Kevin back. No, you don't want to do that. So you could have some very high release clauses kicked out for a lot of coaches in this offseason. There could be a lot of money. It could be a lot of dead money spent on coaches who are going to be sent packing.
Yes, and that's a show for another day, probably a little later in the season. Guys, it's time for everybody's favorite college football segment,
Ding, ding, ding.
college football on a budget. It's where we talk about games that you could get into for a nice low price, roughly the cost of a nice ice cold Coca-Cola at most stadiums, if not all stadiums. And we've got a long list of games to go through here because it's a long week and lots of interesting matchups beginning on Tuesday. New Mexico State travels to Florida International, $10 buy-in right now if you want to go to put Worldwide Stadium in Miami.
South State, Kia Field, and Pitbull State.
Both of those teams have twice as many wins as Florida State.
That is absolutely true. That is absolutely true. But I'm saying no because we've already been this year, and so I'm trying to spread my my dings. But since we've already been to South Dade, Kia Field, and Pitbull Stadium for other games, I will bypass this one. But like I said, we've been there before. If you haven't been, conditionally go. So it is a conditional ding for those of you that have not partaken so far.
And I'm not going unless I give away free wings.
The game number 2 on that Tuesday night, because Tuesday night games are not easy to get people to come to. The Lovely Brides, alma mater, the Louisiana Raging Cajuns, travel to San Marcos to take on Texas State. Get in price right now, $7.
Ding.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, because I don't think we've had a Bobcat Stadium situation this year.
We have not.
And
people have been showing up out at that stadium. That's why I'm a little bit surprised they're that low, but that might be the reason why they're showing up out there.
Yeah, and being a Tuesday, you're trying to get folks in the door in San Marcos, and so I would figure that what we would end up doing is buy a block of tickets, take TLB, and go and watch this game, and we would be like in the Louisiana section and enjoying it. But no, this is our first time, I think, the Bobcat this year, so it is a ding for me as well.
Hit
And it would be
Bucky's and then get some Shipley donuts while you're there.
Oh, see, there you go.
it's a big week in the state of Texas because we've got the third game on Tuesday, October 29th. Louisiana Tech travels to Huntsville, Texas, Elliott T. Bauer Stadium to take on Sam Houston. Get in price right now, 1 week out, $6.
Yeah, no, I
I'm
mean,
buying.
yeah, I mean, if you haven't been, Sam Houston, and it's Bearcats with a K, by the way. If you haven't been, it's a great environment, and they did really well as an audience when they were in 1AA, and they worked their way up through 1AA, now where they are. And so it's one of those really cool environments that I think you should sample. I think I have already sampled Elliott T. Bowers this year with a ding. Once again, I will sit here and say, if you haven't gone, go. Ding if you haven't.
Yeah,
No.
you can't beat that price, guys.
I'm starting to feel like Conference USA should sponsor the segment.
Yes.
Yeah, you could argue that they're eligible for that, and they.
I have two dings, both
Yeah.
are from Conference USA
Absolutely true.
for just this week.
Hello, Conference USA.
And
Sponsors.
we're only into 3 games so far.
Correct. 2 out of 3.
Yeah, so far the list continues as almost every game early in the week qualifies for this segment. On Wednesday, 7 o'clock kickoff, Jacksonville State travels to beautiful Lynchburg, Virginia to take on Liberty.
Conference USA.
Uh-huh. But the answer is no. I have no interest in unless it is giving money to Jacksonville State to get their tickets and sit in their block. The answer is no. The Lynchburg Williams Stadium is getting a thumbs down from me.
And having lived in Lynchburg, Virginia, very, very early in my television career, I don't really feel the need to go back.
Mm-hmm. Right there with you. Yes.
Excuse me, gentlemen. Moving on.
You don't have far to move.
Yeah, on Wednesday night, Kennesaw State travels to Marty's favorite team, Western Kentucky. Kickoff 7:30 p.m. on ESPN2 at Hutchins Industries LT Smith Stadium. Your get-in price right now, $7.
And you have
It
to
is fall. You want to drive through Kentucky in the fall. It's beautiful.
And you have to get your picture taken with the Western Kentucky Chigger mascot.
Oh,
Yep.
Big Red.
Definitely something.
What helmets are they going to pull out this week? I don't know,
know.
but they've been just crushing it all year with their uniforms.
Absolutely, they have.
Moving down on Thursday.
Conference USA also, by the way.
Your one and only game on Thursday night. Tulane travels to Charlotte, takes on the Panthers at Jerry Richardson Stadium. Your get-in price for that one, $11.
I don't think we've been to Jerry Richardson this year, and this is why I'm giving it the ding. And you also get to see a Tulane offense that really does like to light it up. So I would say if you haven't been to Jerry Richardson, once again, conditional ding. If you've been, thank you for going. If you haven't, ding.
I'm going to say no. I'm still sore at Tulane for skipping out on an interview with us last year.
That's true. Absolutely true.
Boo to you, sir. Boo to you.
Boo to you. Okay. So I can see that.
And not a big rush on my part to want to get to that football stadium, so I'm going to pass on that one too. Friday's action. We talked a little earlier about UConn and Georgia State, actually. Georgia State traveling to Pratt & Whitney Stadium in East Hartford, Connecticut to take on UConn. A 7 o'clock kickoff. That one you could get into for a whole $5.
I'm in for a $5.
Yeah, I'm in for a $5. I want to see what Del McGee's doing at Georgia State, and I want to see the build there. So you got Del McGee versus James Mora Jr. I'm intrigued. $5. Ding.
Cats and dogs living together.
Mass hysteria.
Also on Friday night, South Florida travels down to Boca Raton to take on Florida Atlantic. Your get-in price for that one, $7 at Florida Atlantic University Stadium.
I got a lot of gray. I'll go to Boca.
Okay, I'll go with you. USF and FAU. So $7 at FAU. I don't think I've been to FAU this year, so ding.
We move on to Saturday's game where there's a little bit less to qualify here, but a few to mention. We'll start in beautiful San Antonio. Memphis traveling to UTSA. You're getting price for that game at the Alamo Dome, $11.
I see how he skipped over Reinerson Stadium for Toledo and Eastern Michigan, considering that we've been to Reinerson a couple times already.
Yeah, that's an every week game.
Yeah. So, yeah, I'm in. Dang. I've been to the Alamo this year.
We'll go down and get some good Tex-Mex.
Yeah, and I'll wear my San Antonio Brahmas gear.
Just don't splash any of the water from the Riverwalk on you.
No. We'll get some.
Good way to get pink eye.
Yes, we'll get some intel from our buddy Rex Castillo in Columbus, Georgia, about where to go and where to eat.
A very weird game right after that.
How weird is it?
Maine at Oklahoma, 2:30 kickoff at Memorial Stadium in Norman, Oklahoma. You're getting price for that one, $10.
Dang, because it's Oklahoma. When are you going to be able to get into Memorial Stadium in Norman for a game, even if it is the Maine Black Bears? I'm going ding, $10. I'm in.
I'm in.
Just to see if Oklahoma could actually beat Maine, it would be worth it.
Can you imagine a competitive Maine Black Bears team going up against the Oklahoma Sooners? I think they would probably end up firing Brent
I'm
Butler.
going just for the laughter.
Yes.
There could potentially be riots in the street.
The hurling of things from the stands toward OU, which we do not recommend or condone or endorse, but anticipate it happening.
One way to get it didn't work for Ohio State to get their BS targeting call overturned, but A for effort.
There you go.
Moving on down the list, 3:30 kickoff on FOX. Kansas State travels down to Houston to take on the Cougars at TD-ECU Stadium. You're getting price for that 1 week out, $9.
TD-ECU has been up there a lot. I know it's been a rough year for Willie Fritz. The fact that a number 16 ranked team is walking in the door does not sway my opinion. I think we've already been. I'm good.
Meh.
What do you say?
Meh. Very, very meh.
Oh, get this. By the way, just falls outside of football on a budget now that you're going down the list. 3:30, Doak Campbell Stadium in Tallahassee. North Carolina at Florida State, get in price $16. Shows you where things are with a 1-7 team right now that is in that market. Continue, Phil.
Mm-hmm. You are correct, sir.
Mm-hmm.
I'd go to that basketball game, not that football game.
True. So far, your cheapest game on the board so far, UMass traveling to Stark Vegas to take on Mississippi State at Davis Wade Stadium. You're getting price for that one on the SEC Network, $4.
Woo. Okay. And while we're talking about the SEC Network, take a page out of YouTube's book. Don't play a 4-second bump with annoying music and repeat it 1,000 times. Just do a beauty bump shot.
Wow.
Oh my God. I've had to change the channel just because of how annoying their commercial breaks are because nobody's buying ads.
Wow.
Wow. And your last super low budget game here on college football on a budget, Colorado State travels to Reno to take on Nevada. You're getting price for that game, an 8 o'clock kickoff on the CBS Sports Network, $9.
Dang. I don't think I've been to McKay this year, so I'm going ding on that one. I think that'll work.
Yeah, just for Reno 911.
Yes. By the way, I'm
going to wear some short shorts and go to that game.
As you should. in 1AA, North Dakota at Indiana State, 1 o'clock Eastern time, Memorial Stadium, Terre Haute, Indiana, get in price $9. Ding, we've never been to Terre Haute on the show.
No.
There's got to be a Larry Bird statue somewhere there.
Oh, absolutely.
Never been to Terre Haute either on this show or in real life.
We can travel 90 minutes south of where we are, or most of us are based here in OSG HQ. East Tennessee State at Mercer in the SoCon, 3 o'clock Saturday afternoon at 5 Star Stadium. Get in price $10. Ding. Get some really good Southern cooking and making. Also,
making bacon.
Yes. 3 o'clock, Dana J. Dykehouse Stadium, Brookings, South Dakota. It is the home-standing South Dakota State Jackrabbits hosting the Racers from Murray State. Get in price $7. One of the top teams in 1AA. That's a ding.
No-brainer.
And let's see if there's anybody else in 1AA. There's a 12 and a 17. So, yeah, 12 if you want to go to Flagstaff to see Weber State, Northern Arizona at 4 o'clock. But at J. Lawrence Walk-Up Skydome for $12. But that's 1AA for you.
Yeah, I should also mention here your most expensive game on the board right now as we speak, just a few days out from week number 10. Ohio State, Penn State, you're getting price right now, $185 at Beaver Stadium. That's actually not that bad.
It's expensive.
Yeah, if you got a camper.
Yeah, exactly.
Well, there's nowhere to park either, so they make up for their lack of hotels with lack of parking.
And actually, I take that back. It's the second highest price game on the board. Your most expensive game on the board right now, Kentucky at Tennessee.
Oh.
At Neyland Stadium, you're getting price $197.
Border war. That's going to be a long day. That's going to be a long day for Kentucky. I think Brock O'Clock might have struck midnight. Just saying.
Back to reality.
Yeah, back to life, back to reality.
All right. No line dancing in this podcast.
Oh, boy.
All right, guys, I think it's time to wrap things up. We blathered on long enough.
Bite your tongue.
Lots as we predicted going in, there was a lot to talk about and there was a lot to finish up on. Make sure you tune in to the College Football X middle of the week as John and Brother Wilkie talk to those who make news in college football.
Yep. Dave Garner's coming on this week from Flow Sports. He's going to talk about Division II and 4 of the teams in the Gulf South Conference being in the top 25. And we're also going to have Lauren Sisler on the show. She's going to run the anchor leg this week from ESPN. She's got a new book out, and it details a very, very tough story that it took a while for her to bring public, and it's a great book. I'm in the process of reading it before the interview. So Dave Garner, Lauren Sisler on the X this week.
Nice.
That is your homework assignment for this week. Learn a little bit about that and the things that are happening leading into week number 10's games. For Brother Marty and Brother John, I am Brother Phil. We are part of the OSG Sports College football team. Thanks for tuning in, everybody. Have a great week, and we will talk again soon. Bye.
Please like and subscribe and tune in to College Football X.